This is the Seller Process Podcast, where we talk about the best systems, processes, and SOPs for your Amazon business so that you can regain control of your time, build up your team, and scale your e-com empire.
What's up, change makers and entrepreneurs? John Marco here, and welcome to the Seller Process Podcast. Today we'll be focusing on validating our product in Amazon Japan, and we have here John Cant to share his knowledge with us. John Cant is the co-founder of Rising Sun Commerce, an agency which helps Amazon sellers expand to Japan. John lived in Japan for 5 years and worked in e-commerce back in the UK before setting up the agency. He's helped over 100 brands to launch in Japan, from small one-product private labelers to multinational corporations. His favorite type of Japanese food is yakitori. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. Welcome, John.
Very good. Yeah.
Japanese.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, yakitori. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Cool. What is that?
It's kind of meat on skewers and it's grilled over hot charcoal. So it's like the most common one is like you get a bit of chicken, a bit of leek, and a bit of chicken and leek, and it's grilled over hot charcoal. And it's good to drink on a hot summer's day with a nice cold beer.
Cool. All right. So we start with food recommendations. That's always something good to start with. So, John, we're going to talk about Amazon Japan, obviously, because you are the expert on that. And, doing business on Amazon recently obviously has changed greatly, especially in the past few years. And the competition is rising every day. So sellers now are looking around into other platforms, potentially also in other countries. So Amazon Japan now starts to be also a good opportunity for many. So why, John, do you think people should consider to start selling in Amazon Japan?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so Amazon Japan, it's the fourth largest market for Amazon. So obviously you get the USA is by far and away the biggest, then Germany and the UK, and then Japan is fourth on the list. Although it's a very similar level to the UK market. It started, I think, in '98 in Japan. So again, it's one of the oldest markets for Amazon. So, it's a very well-established market from Amazon's point of view. It's depending which data you look at, it's got a good market share. It's about 23% of e-commerce transactions in Japan go through Amazon. And obviously Japan as a country, it's the third largest economy in the world. It's got a population of 127 million. So, it's definitely a significant market.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. So definitely, it's a big market. Definitely, it has a big share. Amazon has a big share in Japan. So compared to also other e-commerce players. So if we are interested in entering Amazon Japan, what's the compliance requirements? So should we set up a company or register for tax? How can we start?
Yeah, so to get started again on Amazon, it's easier on Amazon than it is on some of the other e-commerce platforms in Japan. So you don't need a registered Japanese company to sell through Amazon. You can use your European-based company or US-based company, whichever you've got. And if you're selling on Amazon already, which I guess most people who listen to this show will be, it's relatively straightforward to connect your account and add Japan as a new region that you want to sell. So from a sort of getting set up point of view, it is quite straightforward. From you mentioned compliance and tax there. So compliance requirements, it depends on the category of products that you sell, as you would expect. Food products, cosmetic products, medical products, those type of things. There's strict laws in Japan about what you can and can't sell and claims you can make and stuff. So, for products in those types of categories, you'll need to go through the legal loopholes and get your products tested properly to do that. But for simple products, if you're selling a chair or something, it's very straightforward to start selling those types of products.
Is it something that you are able to help people with? So if somebody has let's say a cosmetic brand or a food brand, is that something that you can help people at least guide to contacting the right person?
Exactly. So we don't get involved directly in those types of things, but I can point people in the right direction to get help with those types of compliance requirements. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So obviously, guys, if you're looking to start selling in Amazon Japan, John is your guy. And so, John, what's the challenges people should be aware of before entering Japan? Because we know it's a totally different market. Also, the language it's totally different. So, what's the main challenges that people should face and be aware of?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the language is obviously the main one. You know, how you're going to handle customer service, how you're going to set up your products right to make sure that people find it properly. You know, and that's kind of what my company does. You know, that's what we're all about. Our bread and butter is setting up product listings and making sure they can be found, and doing keyword research on setting up product listings. So, you know, that's by far and away the most important thing, I think.
What do you see people struggling with the most when they enter?
I mean, I think it was sort of to do with your previous question about tax. You know, we didn't really cover that there. So, you know, being aware of the tax regulations before you launch and making sure you get the import requirements. So you'll need what's called an importer of record when you send your products to Japan to sell through FBA. Now, what that is basically somebody in Japan which is accepting responsibility for your goods into the country. Now, on occasions, we've had people contact us where they've sent the products without an importer of record, and basically they just get rejected at the customs. So it's really important that people make sure they get their importer of record set up before they send the products. So yeah, don't fall over that one.
Okay, that's interesting. That's definitely something everyone should be aware of. So guys, before sending products to Amazon FBA in Japan, make sure you have the proper importer of record, that it's basically making sure that your products can go through the customs. Right, so that's very important. So now let's get to the meat and potato of this episode. So, you know, the one promise that we make to our listeners is that at the end of each episode, they will walk away always with either a template, an SOP, a flowchart, something that they can implement right after the episode, which summarizes basically what we just said during our interview. So today's interview will be based on the validation of products in Japan, right? So most of the time, people who are listening here will have already some products selling in either US, UK, or Europe, and they might consider to start selling those products also in Amazon Japan, right? So before to do that, obviously they should know what you just mentioned. So making sure they have the importer of record set up. They know about the challenges about the language and all of the things we just mentioned. But now it's time to understand whether their product will sell or not in Amazon Japan, right? So we need to understand if our products are the right fit. To do that, John gave us checklists of 9 steps. So now we can go through all these steps, and John will explain these 9 steps to validate your product. And remember that you can download this checklist from our website, thesellerprocess.com. You just look at find this episode with John Cant and download for free your checklist, so that you can also go through these points that we'll discuss, and you can check whether your product is a good fit for Amazon Japan. So without further ado, John, let's see where should we start from to validate our product.
Yes, I mean, first step on the list is to kind of try and get a feel for what other products which are similar to yours are selling. You know, are there any products the same as yours selling on Amazon Japan already? Now, I'm assuming here that most people in the audience don't speak Japanese. So step 1 would be to kind of take your main search term and then just use Google Translate to see what it comes out as in Japanese. And then once you've used Google Translate, paste that into Amazon's search bar and see what the search results are, basically. So if Google Translate is working well, then, you know, you should see some related products at least. So yeah, and you'll start to get a little bit of a feel for other related products.
Right. That's
sale.
for sure step one. If you guys don't speak Japanese, which I'm sure most of you don't, go to Google Translate and look for your main keyword basically, and see if you can find some products that are similar to the one that you are selling. All right. So then now we are on Amazon Japan. We found that there are some products similar to ours. So what we do next?
Yeah, so the next step, I guess, let's assume that you found a product very similar to yours. Click onto the product details page and, scroll through it. And then what you're looking for is the sales rank section. So the part of the page on Amazon that often it lists the ASIN, and it sometimes lists the weight and dimensions and those types of things. In that section, there's the sales rank. So what you're looking for there is to see what rank in the category it is. So you can kind of get a feel for if that product is selling well or not. And then once you've found it, we're skipping ahead, I think, to sort of step five here. But once you've found where the sales ranking list is, you can click through into that, and then that will bring up all the best sellers in that category. So the product that you found using your Google search, that may not be the best selling product in the category, but once you've stepped through into the best sellers list, then that might reveal 50 products which are selling in good volume, that they're selling more than yours, and there's some more related products in that list as well. So
right,
it should reveal a lot more products.
Exactly. So guys, just to make clear something, what was John mentioning before, that we are jumping to step 5. If you don't have the checklist already in front of you, is that step 4 is basically how to find the sales rank, because when you open the page on Amazon Japan, you will find lots of those characters, Japanese characters, which you may not be very comfortable with. You don't really understand where things are. So in order to find where is the rank, we put in the checklist the exact sentence in Japanese characters that you can copy paste and find through your browser. You can find this sentence in Japanese, which means basically sales rank, right? Mm-hmm. And then you will basically find the number. If you're getting confused with all those characters, you will find the sales rank number through looking at this Japanese sentence, which looks very weird for us, but that's how it's written, sales rank. All right, so then we are in the bestseller list. So we know that there are some other products like ours selling potentially well in Amazon Japan. So then how can we estimate the sales? What we do next?
Yeah, so you'd once you've got the list up, you would click on the highest ranked equivalent product from that list. So let's assume it's product number 3 on the list is the most similar to yours. So click on product number 3, and then again try and find that ranking. Use that search tool to look for the ranking thing, and then that will, around there you'll see what the category of product that is ranked for. So if it's like a sports and outdoors product, you'll see what rank it is in sports and outdoors category of products. And then you can go on and use Jungle Scout. They have a tool, and Jungle Scout's got an estimator tool, and you can use that tool to reveal an estimate of how many sales this product is doing. So, and again, that asks you.
Yeah. So basically, it's more like a manual kind of work, right? Is there any software or tool that works well with Japan? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. So do you use any software? Yeah,
no, Japan, from software tools perspective, Japan is far behind the rest of the world. A lot of the developers, they seem to have concentrated, usually on the US and then Europe, and then they kind of neglect Japan. So not many of the usual tools you work for Japan, basically. Even this Jungle Scout sales estimator tool, I don't think the data is as accurate for Japan as it is, certainly for the US kind of thing. So any data that you see, it's not it's not going to be pinpoint accuracy, but it'll give you a better idea than nothing. So yeah.
Right. But there is also one software and another one that works in Japan, I think, which is Kipa, right? So that's like the last step. What can we do with Kipa?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, exactly. You're right there. Keeper does work. So again, Keeper, if you install Keeper in your browser, then that gives you an indication of the sales history of a product. So you can see if it's consistently been selling. You can see the rank of the product over time. So you can see if it's consistently been ranked high in the sales rankings. So it'll get you a bit of a feel for, the overall sales over a period of time, because, if it's seasonal products or whatever, so some types of products, they can move up and down the rankings over quite short periods of time. So what we're looking for when we're doing this research is to try and assess the sort of continuous sales volumes of a product. So, in order to do that, we need to look at the time frame that they've been selling well for as well. So by looking at the graphs that come out of Keeper, you can gain an understanding of if they've been selling well for a long period of time or not.
Excellent. So that's basically a more manual way, let's say, compared as the way we usually do with Jungle Scout or Helium 10 in US or Europe. So here, I think, every time there is a difficulty, there is also an opportunity, right? So in this case, I bet lots of people here are thinking, oh gosh, that they don't want to do all this work. And because it's a lot of manual work, basically just checking one by one, lots of products. Also, it's not going to give you an understanding like right away. You have to check them multiple times, maybe throughout a couple of weeks. So checking them again and again in order to see and validate that those products are actually selling on Amazon. So that's actually the opportunity. If you are diligent enough to do this, there is definitely opportunity in Amazon Japan, because it's a really big market, and Amazon is expanding all over the rest of the world. Besides US, and also I bet there is less competition, right? That's something that I think it could be interesting to talk about. What do you think about competition in Amazon Japan? Is that as fierce as we're used to in the United States?
No, I mean competition is lower in Japan than it is in the US. There's far fewer sort of private label sellers trying to sell similar products. You still get a lot of, the Chinese manufacturers selling in Japan. There's no getting away from that. But yeah, and from a brand perspective as well, you get the native Japanese brands, which obviously do very well and have a good presence on there. But there's so many, European, American brands that have got an opportunity to go to Japan that aren't there yet as well. So, we don't see as many big brands in Japan as you do in the US and Europe kind of thing, So, yeah. In conclusion, it's less competitive, I'd say.
Definitely. So that's really a good opportunity for people to look at, and definitely, they can start by validating their existing products. You don't have to start by creating new products just for Amazon Japan. Most people, I guess, they start by selling their already existing products into Japan. So that's like a very easy and quick way to make some extra bucks, right? And if it goes well, then you kind of master these sales on Amazon Japan, so you get more accustomed to how it works. Then you can start maybe creating some products that are more suited for them, maybe changing the packaging and so on, right? So that's a good way to start. So remember, guys, to download the checklist so you can go over it and with your own product, and see maybe there is some hidden gem around in your inventory that maybe it's sitting in FBA in the US, but maybe it's a highly demanded product in Amazon Japan. Who knows, right? So, John, before we say goodbye, the last question I wanted to ask you, since you lived in Japan, what are the cultural differences that you have seen that we should be aware of when developing products or adapting our listings to sell in Amazon Japan?
Yeah, I mean, it's very product specific, this, I'd say. Fundamentally, if a product sells well in the US or Europe, then there's no reason why I wouldn't expect it to sell well in Japan. Obviously, there's some areas that are different, so let's look at the example categories, kitchen equipment, for example. So if you've got a rice cooker that you're selling in Europe, now if you start trying to sell rice cookers in Japan, obviously there's going to be a lot more competition for those types of products in Japan than there is here. Likewise with the types of plates, cups and saucers they use, the slightly different cultural approaches to food. So, that would be one category, I guess, to be wary of, or, you'd need to do a bit more research. Then I would expect some differences in those categories. Whereas, if you sell toothbrushes, for example, they're going to be the same all over the world, and it doesn't really matter. So it's a bit category specific, I'd say. But, try and think, put yourself in a Japanese person's shoes as much as you can and try and think of your product through their eyes, kind of thing. Or it's sometimes tricky to do it, but, yeah.
Or just simply go to John and figure it out, right? So probably, guys, not a good idea to sell rice cookers or maybe tea in Japan, I guess. Well, but everything else might work in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Yeah. So, guys, remember to go to the sellerprocess.com to grab your checklist, 9-step checklist to validate your product in Japan and start using it now, because maybe there is some product sitting in your warehouse that can be sold in Amazon Japan easily and make some extra bucks. And actually, Amazon Japan is growing. It's the 4th biggest market for Amazon. So there is lots going on there, and there is lots of opportunity because there is little competition as well. So that's something that we should all look into and see whether there is some opportunity waiting for us, right? So again, thank you, John, for being our guest today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
How people can reach out to you?
Yes, if you want to get in touch with me direct, then if you go on the website, risingsuncommerce.com, then all our contact details are on there, so you can drop us an email.
Great. So guys, you will find also the summary of this episode, as well as the link to download the checklist in the show notes. And you will find also John's contact details and the link to his website. So if you're interested in to start selling in Japan and you would like some help from experts, John is your guy. So go reach out to him. And John, so here we are. Thank you very much again for being our guests, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.
Thank you very much, Gianmarco. Bye for now.
Bye. Changemakers, I hope you enjoyed the show and learned something from the interview. I like to leave you with my favorite quote. Remember, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. You will not reach your targets just because you set them. You will reach your targets because you have implemented systems in your business that allow you to reach those targets. Burn that in your mind. And what I'd like you to do is to go grab the free resources of this episode on the sellerprocess.com and work to keep systematizing your business and creating better processes. And I'll see you in the next episode.